So now we know when the balancer kicks in. What about picking a chunk? This turns out to be a fairly simple algorithm, particularly when you draw it out. It becomes pretty obvious exactly how it's going to pick a chunk and which chunk it's going to pick. The rules are pretty basic. First of all, it moves chunks from the shard with the highest chunk count for that collection. Then, on that shard, once it's identified which shard this is, it will move the chunk with the lowest range. As you might remember, chunks are defined as from this shard key to that shard key, and they can be easily sorted by the values contained therein. So obviously the lowest chunk of all of them will be the min chunk, the one that contains the min chunk value. If the min chunk value is present, that will always be the one chosen. If it's not, it will find the lowest range chunk on that shard and move that. So we've got 3 shards here. We've been inserting data on them, and shard 3 has gotten more of the data here than the rest, and it has 48 total chunks. Now the total here is greater than 80, so the difference is greater than 10 here, 48, 38, 48, 35. So we've got a big enough difference for the balancer to kick in. That's great. How does it pick the shard? It's pretty easy. It looks for the one with the highest number of chunks for this particular collection, and that is shard 3. So then we take a look at shard 3, and it will have a series of chunks. And you'll be able to see these in the sh.status output. You'll be able to see them in the actual chunks collection in the config database that we've shown examples of, and they'll all have a range. So you can imagine that if it was a simple integer, this first chunk here might be 1 to 7. This one here might be 8 to 15. This one here might be 9 to 20, or whatever way that's actually working out. So now the balancer takes a look at this list of chunks, and it goes and finds the one with the lowest range, which in our particular case is this 1 to 7 chunk here. That's great. So now it's selected the chunk that it wants to move, the lowest range chunk on the shard with the highest number of chunks at the moment, and it sees which one has the least number of chunks, which in this case is shard 1. So now it has its source, its target, and the chunk that it wants to move. So that's how the balancer is basically picking things. So in this particular case, what's actually going to happen is this chunk is going to move from shard 3 to shard 1. And once that's complete, the metadata will be updated and everything else. And so now you'll have 36 here, 47 here. And so it's going to continue there for a couple more migrations, you can imagine. So when this gets down to 44, so we'll have, say, 39. And then the next migration here from 44 to 43 will actually be between S3 and S2. So there you go. That's how the balancer actually picks a chunk.